Hi everybody, I'm Miriam, and I've got another edition of Not Oprah's Book Club today. Today I'm reviewing a new book called No Impact Man, The Adventures of a Guilty Liberal Who Attempts to Save the Planet, and the Discoveries He Makes About Himself and Our Way of Life in the Process, by Colin Beavan, who's also taken on the moniker of No Impact Man. I first heard of No Impact Man, I think last year, or maybe 2 years ago when I was living in New York City, and I came across it just in the blog world. I don't even remember how I found it, but I was intrigued by his project. Basically, Colin is a straight, white, middle, upper class man with a wife and a baby who decided to try to spend a year living in New York City, having no impact on the environment. What that actually means, like actually how to have a zero net impact, it's not particularly scientific, but he has a couple of different phases throughout his process, and this book is the story of that year. My overall reactions to the book, I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was really interesting, kind of an intellectual experiment. I think that for me, someone who's interested in environmental issues feels very frightened, to be honest, about the prospect of climate change, has gotten really active about food politics. I've had trouble because primarily what there is to read about these issues are really scary, scary things about kind of the fate of the world if things don't change, both in terms of the food situation, in terms of climate change. You know, the same thing can be said for a lot of causes that we really care about. So for me, I find it extremely overwhelming and kind of terrifying to the point where I just can't read or listen to things anymore about issues in that perspective. And so what I've been looking for were things written about kind of ways that I can change my life and have an impact on the situation, at least in my day-to-day. And he talks a lot about this sort of divide between individual action and collective movement, individual habit change versus advocacy on a legislative level, and I think that there's arguments to be made for both sides, but what he comes to and sort of where I'm at with it is as well is that there's no reason not to change our habits as individuals, in addition to the bigger political collective actions that we might take. The fact that me not making as much trash doesn't make an impact on the larger problem that we have with waste, for example, doesn't mean that it's not worth it for me to do that, or that it's not a piece of the puzzle for changing our lives. So that's sort of how I feel about food politics and like why I shop at the farmers market, and I think that lots of small actions do lead to collective change in a big way. There's a really interesting gender sort of thread throughout the whole book that gets brought up more, I've heard, in the documentary, which is also out, that I have not seen yet, because he and his wife have a lot of back and forth and struggle around the project, because he sort of paints her as a more traditional kind of high consumer woman who came from money, who really likes shopping, and he's kind of a hippie liberal in the way he paints himself. So I think in the end, it seems like she teaches him just as much as he teaches her, and it's very much a back and forth. And I appreciated the way he wrote really candidly about the times in which he was a jerk about things and the times in which she really pushed the project more than he did. So in general, I think he did a good job of taking that seriously and really making Michelle, his wife, be just sort of like a co-creator in the project, despite that it's called No Impact Man. So I liked it. I would check it out. If you're interested, the book is made of 100% recyclable material. Obviously, important part of his project as well. And the No Impact Project is something that's continuing beyond his blog. I'll put links in after the jump to that project. And he still blogs at No Impact Man. So if you're looking for some interesting tips and challenges about how to reduce your impact on the environment, check them out.